What's up, guys? It's your girl Riva, and I'm back again with another video. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Riva. It's very nice to meet you. Before we get into this video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. And as I always say, make sure you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below. It does not matter how you feel about this video. We all want to talk about it. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH_JORDON. And as you can see by the title, we are just going to go ahead and jump right into the video.
Women were asked, like, what do you consider settling to be? And, women were basically, so they asked like men and women, even like, what would you need to go on a second date with somebody? And men said they needed three things to go on a second date with someone. She had to be interesting to talk to. She had to be cute, but not like gorgeous movie star cute, right? Like just like cute to him, right? And she had to be nice. Like she had to be like a kind, nice person. Like we know those people when you're at a restaurant and they're being like really rude to the waiters and stuff. Not somebody like that. And so, so that was what men said. They needed just three things to go on a second date with someone. Women named 300 things that they would. I mean, there was this list that would.
Are we surprised? Probably not, right? Because we're way more complex than men are. Way more complicated, make things more complicated. So I'm genuinely not surprised.
Exhausted was like, can't be this, can't be that, has to be this, has to be that. And so it was this question of like, what does that really mean, right? Like, how are we choosing partners, and are we looking for the wrong qualities? Are we looking for the qualities that don't matter? And are we not looking hard enough at the qualities that do matter? Things like kindness, emotional generosity. Do you have shared values? Do you enjoy just being with the person, right? Like, regardless of all these other things that we're taught, especially as women, to look for in a partner that actually don't. When we look at, so my book it's a reported book. It's partly a memoir of my journey going through this, but it's also a reported book that I wrote as a journalist. And so all the studies and data show these are the things that matter in happy, lasting marriages, and these are the things that don't matter at all, but that people place such a high value on when they're dating.
No, that makes perfect sense. And one of the things I really loved about this book was that you were able to be so introspective and so radically honest about your life, your situation, and exactly what you're going through. I find that for a lot of people, like that level of introspection and that level of radical candor is something that's extremely uncomfortable for them. So, as a therapist, and as you've been obviously seeing lots of different clients, do you find it very difficult for men and women to be that radically honest about their lives and their struggles the way you were in this book?
This is a very good question, especially because she's a therapist. So she's worked with so many different people's different mindsets. I'm so glad that he asked that. That's a great question.
Do. I mean, I think that people come in and they want something to change because it's not working, whatever's going on. But usually, what they want is someone else or something out there to change, right? They don't want to look inside and say, "What is my role in this? Like, what am I doing that I could do differently?" Because whatever I'm doing right now isn't working. And often people don't realize that maybe they are doing something in terms of their selection process that is getting in their way of finding the person that they will actually fall in love with. So the book isn't about having you be with someone that you're not truly completely 100% in love with. It's about what's getting in the way of you finding that person.
No, 100%, and I think that's the part that I like a lot because similar to what you said, obviously I've written before, so I know how publishers get when they try to craft something to draw an emotional response to the reader to be able to get them to make a purchase. But in regards to your book, the general premise when people think about settling, the idea is that settling means that you're getting what will make you unhappy, right?
Right.
So if I have to settle for this home, generally speaking, it's a home that I did not want. If I have to settle for this job, it's generally speaking, I have to settle for this job that I did not want. But that's not what you're communicating in this book. One of the things that I love that you communicate is that you're asking these individuals to be radically honest about who they are and specifically what do they need to be happy. Because this book is about finding a person that can make you happy, but the problem is for so many people, the things that really will make them happy are not the things that they're prioritizing in a relationship. So from your experience,
which is such a major issue that we have right now. Women that say, "Oh yes, I need my man to make six figures. I need him to do this. I need him to do that." And then in reverse, you see that they end up either stepping away from their relationship, filing for divorce, breaking up with that person because what they really wanted and required in a relationship is time, and the man that they wanted that has these resources and these finances is not able to give them that time because he's out there providing. So did you really want that, or did you just like how it looked on Instagram, but what you really needed is somebody that you can depend on, that's one call away, that can be right there for you? So that's a huge issue that we have right now, where people are just trying to find out whatever looks good, what feels good, what sounds good, but in actuality it's not what's best for them.
So what are some of the things that you've noticed, not only from your research from your book, but also from your clients, that women are prioritizing in a relationship that in the long run won't be making them happy?
Right. Well, I think, there's this thing that I talk about in the book, the difference between satisficers and maximizers. And this is a study. This isn't my opinion. This is actually research that was done. And they found that people who are maximizers are people who have to have the very best of everything and they're never satisfied. And people who are
Mm.
satisficers know what they want. Their bar is high. They have they have high criteria. But when they find something that meets those criteria, they're happy with it. They're satisfied with it. So an example is, let's say you want to buy a sweater, and you go into a store and you find a sweater and you love it and it fits well, and you go out and you get lots of compliments on it and you're very happy with it. That's great. You're a satisficer. You found what you want. A maximizer will probably look at that sweater, not buy it, and say, but let me just go to a few other stores and see if I can find something better. Maybe there's something else that's
Yeah.
a better price or a better style or a better this. Or they buy the sweater, and then the next day they're like walking through the mall and they're like, oh, look at that sweater that I just saw in the window. Maybe that
Mm.
one's better. And then they don't like the one they have. So maximizers are never happy. They're always like, they have to maximize and maximize and maximize, whereas satisficers find what they want and they appreciate it and they're happy.
Maximizer sounds like those people that have the mindset of, the grass is always greener. They want what Ashley and Sarah have in their relationship. This doesn't seem as good, even though they don't really realize that what they have in front of them is probably better than what Sarah and Ashley has. But because it looks more enticing, it looks more interesting, they have that, like I said, grass is greener mentality. So that's very interesting, and based on the dialogue that she just provided, based on the things that she just said, obviously we know that a lot more women are going to be considered the maximizers, right? The never satisfied, always want to, have better, the best of this, always comparing themselves to others, other things. So I like that breakdown.
And I think that that
No, that
happens
makes
in
perfect
dating. The
sense.
same thing happens in dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people they feel like, especially with apps, like the way that people date nowadays, right? So on an app, you go on a first date with somebody, you're like, I had a really good time, that was pretty fun, but I didn't feel like amazing butterflies yet, right? But it was really fun. I really liked the person. I would totally see them again. Then you're like driving home or you're coming home and you're like, oh, look at all these notifications on the app. Maybe that person is better. And so you never get to know somebody because you're juggling so many different people trying to maximize something, and you can't really treat human beings like a shopping experiment.
Guys, we're going to take a quick pause.
That's such a dangerous place to be in. Like, that is such a dangerous, dangerous place to be in. Like, when you're literally trying to, get the best out of every single experience with every single person, it's like that's hard because how do you know how you genuinely feel about this person if you haven't even given them their chance, if you haven't even gone out to meet them more than one time? Sometimes at first instantly instant meeting, maybe you don't feel anything, but sometimes it takes like 2, 3, 4 dates before you're like, wow, we have so much in common. Like, you get the nerves out of your system and stuff like that. So if you're constantly comparing this person, exactly like what she just said, you're never giving that new person a fair shot, especially if you already have this delusions of grandeur mindset where you feel like you deserve A through Z. So you're always going to be looking for someone to just go ahead and just meet your Disney fantasy mindset that you have, when in actuality you have this guy that's a really nice guy that you're just not given the chance to because you just feel, right? Like, oh, I just didn't feel that thing. And you don't even know what the thing is because you've never even experienced the thing to know that, like, that thing that you're talking about, sometimes those nerves and anxiousness is really because this person is going to give you hell, right? Sometimes that calm, peaceful energy is such a good sign and a good signal that this is somebody that you can actually do life with. There's peace that is around you guys when you're around him, but you want to feel the the excitement or the quote unquote butterflies that you felt when you were dating this extremely dangerous person, not realizing that you were really anxious when you were with this person because you never knew what was going to happen. They kept you on your toes and they were very dangerous. That safe space, that calm space is sometimes exactly where you need to be.
Get 10% off your free month. Please, guys, take your mental health seriously. If you're somebody who's going in consistent ruts and going in consistent cycles and you're not seeing progression, take advantage of BetterHelp. Take advantage of whatever resources possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to see you guys win, be successful, and flourish. So without further ado, let's get back to the interview. No, I absolutely love that point because I think
Me
it's
too.
something that, what was the name of the book that you quoted in your book? It
Oh,
was
the paradox of choice.
paradox of choice,
Yes,
exactly. I mean,
Barry
it's something
Schwartz's
that
book.
happens all throughout societies, not just in dating, like you said, on all these things. Whether it's going to the store, whether it's buying a car, all these choices and options makes us desire, things that are, the next best thing. And something else you talked about in the book that I found really interesting was so many people, especially young women, when you ask them questions about, what after going on a date, why did you not give this guy a second date, or why were you not interested in continuing? A lot of individuals will be like, "Oh, there wasn't any sparks, there
Yes.
wasn't any butterflies." And one of the things you talked about in the book is that what you found out for a lot of people is that sometimes the sparks or the butterflies or that feeling of being in love usually comes from things like trauma bonds, where if you might be
Ah,
used to.
you see, Riva be knowing what she's talking about. Okay, and you guys already know when I react to videos, I do not watch the video before. I watch it right in front of you guys so we can watch it together. And exactly. And how do I know that? Just from experience, right? That feeling of, ooh, this is so enticing and dangerous. And that's such a good point that well, he's referring to what she wrote in the book about trauma bonding. That's so serious because you feel excited around this person, but they're just really just a reflection of your childhood traumas. That's powerful.
Someone being inconsistent. You might be used to somebody who's overly, flirtatious or things like that, and
Right.
that becomes this spark. So when you meet an individual or a man who's more stable, who's more consistent, who's more responsive, because you don't have those excitements and those, adrenaline rushes, you now think that that means that there's no spark in this situation.
Right. There's a woman actually in my new book. Maybe you should talk to someone just like that. She's in her early 20s and she keeps dating these guys and they never work out for her. And at one point, she starts even dating someone that she hooks up with in the waiting room. I don't mean they hook up in the waiting room. Our office is not that exciting, but they meet in the waiting room. And I know that he's going to be bad news because everyone she chooses is bad news. And so why is that?
Mm.
It's because if you haven't worked through whatever, like however you were disappointed in childhood, right? If you haven't worked through that, then you choose people who are similar to that, even though you think you're choosing the opposite. So it's kind of like you see a guy and your unconscious says, "Oh, you look familiar. Come closer." Right? And he might not be exactly like the parent who disappointed you or whatever you didn't get as a child, but once you get to know him, he is. And that's why you are drawn to those people. So then she
Mm-hmm.
would go out with these guys who were amazing guys, and then she'd be like, "Yeah, he's amazing, but like, I don't know, I just didn't feel the spark. I didn't feel the chemistry because you haven't worked through that other stuff. So you don't feel comfortable. You actually get anxious around people who are good for you."
Because that unhealed part of yourself is attracted to that person who can validate all of those unhealed feelings. So your subconscious mind is lighting up like, yes, this is what feels good. This is what I'm used to. This is what makes me feel comfortable. And in actuality, this is somebody that's going to harm you and just keep repeating the same exact cycles. That's why it's so important when we talk about, being the person that you want to attract, healing those, childhood traumas, going to therapy, seeking other ways of help to get through those things. That way that you can be an elevated version of yourself, which means that you are automatically going to attract better to yourself.
People who are good for you, you either get numb, you feel nothing, or you get anxious, right? Or you get repulsed. Okay, it's one of those things happens, and so it's really important to understand why do you. If you find this pattern, it's kind of like if a fight breaks out in every bar you're going to, maybe it's you. So if every
Mm,
guy you're dating is like a jerk or is disappointing to you or is unreliable, maybe it's you. Meaning maybe you are choosing people like that, and then
amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Um, I, one thing I love about the roommates is they always have people on that I have absolutely never heard of before that drop so many amazing gems, especially when it comes to the relationship sector and stuff like that. So absolutely love this piece of advice, and I think it's so important. It's so vital, you know, to have these conversations that are broken down like this, where you can actually realize the issues. Why am I getting the short end of the stick when it comes to dating? Why is this always happening to me? No, life is not necessarily happening to you. It's a reflection of yourself and also the work that you've done. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. You guys know I want to hear it. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. And again, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH_JORDON. And of course, as you guys know, I always have the full video linked in the description box below to the original video. And thank you guys so very, very much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah! Love you.